To get that result was huge for the dressing room, for the belief, for the morale, for the belief that we could go into the next game and take that momentum with us. And yeah, it was big for the football club, but it was most important for that dressing room. Home game against Arsenal, match day 6 for us. We were unbeaten going into the game, but it was only our second ever season in the women's WSL. We had never beaten a top 3 side. We certainly hadn't beat Arsenal. So going into this game, they were big favourites. And I picked a team that I thought we could win the game. Also based around, we had a couple of injuries as well. So Mary Earps played in goal. My centre-backs were Amy Turner on the right, Millie Turner on the left. Left back was Leah Galton for this game, who normally plays higher up. Right back was Honor Batye. I sat with two deep liers in midfield with Hayley Ladd, Jackie Gronin, Ella Toon in the 10. On the right was Kirsty Hansen. On the left was Tobin Heath. And in the 9 on the centre forward was Kristen Press. Obviously with Arsenal, they like to dominate the ball, like to dominate possession. We'll play out from the back, we'll play through the thirds, very rarely go direct. So a big part of our game plan in this game was how we could affect pressure higher up, how we could stop the ball getting into Miedemar, who's very dangerous, obviously scores a lot of goals, but how we could press, force them into midfield, win the ball and create our own goal-scoring opportunities, but also suffocate and dispossess them so they couldn't get their rhythm. They have to get their rhythm, and we didn't want them to get that. So we played 4 at the back. Out of possession, we played 2 deep liers, and then we dropped our 9 in and made a box in midfield. And our press was going to be initiated with our wide players, with Kirsty Hansen, who's fast, really quick and aggressive in her press, and Tobin Heath, who's also got pace and she's super smart. So anytime there was a switch between the centre-backs, it was the job of the wide player to press, to force them inside. The reason we played 2 in here was because we wanted to make sure that we could lock onto their 6, and Arsenal often dropped 2 in. It meant that we could take care of those 2. Why did we keep 2 lower? Because Arsenal like to bring their wide players infield sometimes. Wide players will come in. It meant that we could have security here and dominate the middle of the pitch. Also, what we knew is if our wide player presses a centre-back, what they will try and do is go into their midfield and out to their fullback. We wanted our fullback to release fullback to fullback. So if it goes in, she was to release early. That meant we still had security in here. It meant that we then had to swing very quickly as a back 3. So left-sided centre-back Millie Turner had to come round, Amy Turner had to come round, and Honor had to come round really quickly. And we left the least dangerous, which was on the far side. So we could win it in these areas, and we knew that they would then be vulnerable down the sides of the centre-backs and in between, and we would have numbers higher up on the counter-attack. In the game against Arsenal in possession, we knew that Miedemar, notoriously fantastic goal scorer, unbelievable in the box, isn't that interested out of possession. So we knew that if we used the goalkeeper and our centre-backs, we could potentially step in. They pull their wide players quite narrow, so anytime we could get it to a centre-back, if she could travel, she would engage this wide player, and then it was the timing and the angle of support of the fullback to be able to get out. So that was the way we would build. Can we get our centre-back on the ball, drive towards the wide player, get our full-back out, and then a 2v1 in this area with Kirsty Hansen, who's quick, and Tobin Heath on this side, who can both go 1v1. If they decided to go inside at any point, if they wanted to occupy in and give this centre-back a problem, then we were looking at being in, but balls down the sides so that they could spin and get themselves in an attacking position. If it wasn't that and she came off, then it was the run behind the centre-back of the 9 to try and create goal-scoring opportunities higher up. If they both come off, then it's Ella Toon's responsibility to run beyond, because we felt their back line was vulnerable to runs beyond. But in the initial phase, it was really important that our centre-backs were brave, stepped in, engaged the wide player, played to the full-back, and we could overload their full-back 2v1 to get into the attacking half. At half-time, recognised that Kirsty Hansen wasn't really having the beating of the fullback, so switched up and changed it and brought Jess Sigsworth on, who's, again, another fast, direct player who I thought could really impact the game. We were managing players at that time, and Tobin had done a lot of running at that point, a lot of pressing, the way we were playing. So she came off and I pushed Ella Toon wide, knowing that she could do a job coming inside sometimes. And this was a key moment in the game. It was really late on. Obviously, we still had energy to score, so it was fantastic. But Arsenal tried to play into Miedemar. And when Miedemar's coming off deep, you know you're having success. But she's come off in this instance. And one key point to both centre-backs was if she comes off, stay tight. Don't let her get turned. Don't let her get a run on you. And I thought Amy Turner and Millie Turner were immense that night at doing that. And the ball comes into Miedemar. Amy Turner's aggressive, tight, wins it. At that point, Lauren James is on the pitch because we knew on the bench, you could kind of smell that there was an opportunity to win the game. So with her on the pitch, you know, if her centre-backs don't want to come out, she can get turned. And Amy Turner wins it, manages to get Lauren James on the ball. Lauren James is unbelievable turning under pressure. So she kills their press, turns. Jess recognises it. This player comes out, and the instructions to Jess anytime to get the ball is how can you get yourself in a race with and without the ball. She gets the ball to feet and she pushes it and she's lightning. And once she's got beyond her, Arsenal are recovering. And they actually have decent numbers at that point. And I thought Jess' intelligence and composure in the box as she pushes, recognises this defender's overcompensating to block the cross, cuts back inside, and at that point, Ella Toon, as she does, her arrival timing is fantastic, the cutback and the finish, you know, and that just proves you don't need to break the back of the net. It's a calm, composed finish in the corner, and it gets us all 3 points. Obviously, it was a big week for us. We knew that we were playing Arsenal. Next up, we had Man City. It was kind of a real crucial time in the league because you can't drop points in the Women's League or you're out of the race. And obviously our target was Champions League football. Having never beaten a top 3 team, to get that result was huge for the dressing room, for the belief, for the morale, for the belief that we could go into the next game and take that momentum with us. And yeah, it was big for the football club, but it was most important for that dressing room.